Hey there, so I'm trying to catch up on YouTube videos because things have been hectic, and hectic. And I'm watching some of my favorite YouTubers. It's good to see that some some cool people back again. I'm gonna be doing some shoutouts in my next one. It's kind of like a newsy type thing. But right now, I was just watching Tattoo Doorman, who I really like his videos, and he's doing a contest entry for Mondo Squallido, and I like Mondo Squallido, and somehow I missed this contest. But hopefully it's not too late, so I'm going to try and get in here on this one now, and I just finished watching the contest video there. So I got to make sure that I got it right here. This one is about mostly stuff you read, I think, horror-wise. And there are a few, and it goes way back for me. With as far as reading goes, I started reading horror films and stuff from my father back when I was about 3 years old. Famous Monsters of Filmland by Forrest J. Ackerman, with of course the Basil Gogos covers, and that was pretty much the start of it. And I was an addict for reading on films. I read everything I could get my hands on. As I became older, Stephen King put the novel, I don't forget the name of it right now, Danse Macabre. And Danse Macabre was one that I read over and over again. It dealt with like not just movies, it dealt with like TV, it dealt with radio, it dealt with print, and I really enjoyed that. Of course, as a child growing up in the 80s, I read Fangoria and Starlag, both magazines that were readily available where I was at. And of course, Famous Monsters had gone under, so I wasn't reading that anymore, though I did read some other stuff like Hammer Horror and Monster World, which I think was one that Forey put out afterwards. It didn't last that long. After that, I ended up going into college, and around that time, there's a big boom in horror, and that also meant a big boom in horror magazines. So Gore Zone came around as the secondary one for Fangoria, and Gore Zone was kind of an edgy, cooler one, and I really liked Gore Zone. Gore Zone was there, I think, Horrorwood or something like the Horror Fan Horrorwood. It didn't last very long, kind of cool, kind of slick, but again, it didn't exactly have an identity. It was kind of like aping other ones that came before it. I pretty much read all that stuff. Then, of course, there was always a movie magazine tie-ins that came in, stuff like the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Friday 13th tie-in movie magazines that Fangoria would do. Fangoria would put out these lists of books along the way. I remember reading the comic book adaptation of Creepshow. I also got into, actually, I kind of got out of it for a while, and as a writer, I kind of actually wrote. I wrote stuff, and life came about, and I didn't read for a while. But then I was coming back from Ottawa, and I was wanted to pick something up for my dad, and I was in, I think it was in Nova Scotia, and there was this magazine on the rack called Rue Morgue, and it had like one of the foreign things that my father likes. I don't know if it was Nashi, something like that anyway. And so I pick it up, I get it for him, because I got him like this a book that I bring me home to him, and some movies and stuff, and I hadn't seen my dad in about like 2 years. I open it up, and I'm reading it along the way. It's like a really good magazine, so I'm thinking, damn, now I'm going back to Newfoundland. I'm not going to be able to find that stuff here, because, you know, can't find anything in Newfoundland, especially in the area that I was going in. Fortunately, though, there was a bookstore near where I lived and worked at the time, and I went in there one day and I saw Rue Morgue magazine, and I found myself reading it religiously, and actually really admired the editor at the time, Javanka, and she has since gone on to do independent film. Now, I still read Rue Morgue, though I got out of it for a little bit because they supported a movie that I really didn't like called a Serbian film. And yeah, but the magazine overall has still been a very quality magazine. I'm very disappointed that I missed it on the Halloween issue this year. It is the first time since Rue Morgue has started that I have missed out on a Halloween issue. Oh my God! I read so much. I read the Roger Ebert books. Rest in peace. I read a lot on film because I study film. Still, film is not. It's not like a thing that I do. It's kind of like an all-encompassing passion for me. So you know, I'm all about film, and obviously now it's November 6th, so this is Criterion month, and yay. By the way, that magazine looks really freaking awesome. The Ray Harryhausen cover is amazing. I'm a huge Harryhausen fan. Now, as for independent, like, films, horror, stuff like that I like, director's editions, Astron 6 comes to mind right away. They did, if you're not familiar with them, they did Father's Day, and recently did Manborg. Now, I haven't seen Manborg, but I did see Father's Day, and it's not for everybody, but it is a really cool, freaky, strange film. Ask Blu-ray Anonymous about it. I recommended it to anybody. Inside with director Alexander Bostello. Great film. Great film. Just such brutal, suspenseful film. I really hope that director would go on and do like a continuation of the Halloween series, because that was kind of the type of suspense style that Halloween should be getting back to. But I digress. Other independents that I like. At this point, I don't think we could consider Wes Anderson independent, can we? It's kind of like mainstream. Cronenberg's more independent than Wes Anderson is at this point. I watched a lot of weird, freaky stuff. And as much as I remember names and directors and stuff like that, and I have an uncanny ability for that for some reason, to remember stuff that's probably not very important to anybody else but me. As far as indie people go, back when he started out, I wouldn't consider him indie now, but Alexander Aja was who did High Tension. Around the time I was writing a film myself, and my ending was similar to High Tension, and I had to rewrite the last 20 pages of my script and completely change where it was going. Hopefully mine wouldn't have had the same plot holes that film had. But I have ways around those plot holes. I have like a mental block that'll help me with that. Trauma, King of the Indies. I love them. But indie guys right now that I'm into. See, this is the type of question where I'm going to list a couple, and then I'm going to go off and I'm going to think of like 20. And that's always the way it is with something like this. But hopefully those guys are a start anyway. As far as like stuff, I support local stuff around here as well, and Newfoundland. So if I see anything up and coming from there, I try to watch, as well as the horror stuff like that. When Ginger Snaps came out, it was a Canadian horror film. It became big afterwards, but I was there to support that on its opening. And just a lot of stuff like that. And I'm trying to think, do I have anything indie? Yes, I do. I cannot forget this. I'm a slasher fan, and I'm an old school 80s slasher fan, so I like a lot of the slashery movies. A lot of people go about, yeah, I liked Valentine, I liked Urban Legend, blah, 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 blah. They were 80s style slasher. If you grew up in the 80s, you knew what type of movies you were getting in for. I'm not sure what other people expected, but that's what I expected. But if I wanted really brutal, gory horror slasher film with like a quality nude sequence, slasher movies had to have at least one quality nude sequence. It's part of the formula. It's your mad scientist formula for slashers. It's like music. It's got a beat. Well, that would be the Orphan Killer, which I talk about on here a lot. I've met the director and the actors from the film, actually, and Matt Farnsworth, who recently has re-released his Orphan Killer, by the way, is on iTunes, it's on his website, and now there's a limited edition steelbook for $25. It comes with a documentary. I have the Orphan Killer, I have the Orphan Killer mask, actually, and Marcus Miller, Orphan Killer. This is how much I support the indies. Anyway, I went as the Orphan Killer last year and freaked at my class. Yeah, kind of cool. that is my contest entry. I think I have said everything that needs to be said. And very cool channel. If you're not subscribed to Mondo Squallido, and tell me if I'm getting this right, because Mondo Squallido, I am horrible with names. And a horrible computer. Mondo Squallido. Mondo Squallido? Then definitely subscribe to him. Check it out. Cool contest. Really, really cool Harryhausen cover. Loving that. Very cool stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I have to go now, and because this video lasted longer than I thought it was going to do, I said, okay, I'm going to do a contest entry, and it's going to come in like 4 minutes or something like that. And no, that never happens because I can't shut up. So, tea's cold. Got to get new stuff. Thanks a lot for the contest. Love the channel. I've been watching the stuff. Very cool. Fingers crossed. And thanks a lot, and thanks for watching. And for me right now, it's time for tea.